Alright, welcome back to Chip Theory. Today I'll be talking about another Lydian mode. Uh, you can see we have the poker chips laid out here starting with F. Here's going to be our key note on the left, our F note, and we're going to be discussing the F Lydian scale. If we count the chips to the right, we have F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. If we go back, we can use the flat names. We have E, E flat, D, D flat, C, C flat or B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, and F. The first thing we need to know when we're discussing a Lydian mode is the pattern of whole steps and half steps for a Lydian mode. The Lydian scale has a whole step, a whole step, a whole step, a half step, a whole step, a whole step, and a half step pattern. So that's going to be our pattern for the Lydian mode. And the second thing we need to realize when looking for here the F Lydian mode is what key our mode is derived from. So if we move our F down to this end and we count down 5 half steps, because 5 half steps is a perfect fourth. And we know that Lydian is the fourth mode of a major scale. So it's going to be on that fourth scale degree of your major scale that the mode will begin on. So we're going to count down that 5 half steps because a perfect fourth is 5 half steps. We start here on F and count down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here you have your note C. So we know that C major is going to be a relative major key to our F Lydian mode. Since C is 5 half steps down from F, or a fourth, we can guarantee that C will be 7 half steps, or a fifth, up from F. So we can count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 leads us to C, our note C. So we could simply play our C major key starting on the note F to achieve an F Lydian pattern, or we can use our pattern that we discussed earlier of a whole step here, a whole step, a whole step. Here is our half step. So here we have the first half of our pattern, whole, 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 half. And we need 2 more whole steps, whole, whole. And our final half step will be here from the E back to our octave F. Here we have the pattern for the Lydian mode, or the fourth mode of the major scale. You can see now that the pattern in inverse is the Locrian mode, in that it's a half step, whole, whole, half, whole, whole, whole. And that pattern descending from the Lydian mode is the Locrian mode. So you know, if you know your Lydian scale, you know your Locrian because it's simply the inverse of the Lydian pattern. Here you can simply see the notes F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And what we're looking at here is essentially an F major scale with a sharp 4 note, because an F major, if you were to compare this with the F major scale, you would have 1 flat, or a B flat, here on the 4th degree. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, and E. And when you remove that flat, you raise it to a B natural. You've sharped the 4th tone, which is the Lydian mode's trademark. Lydian mode is the mode known to sharp the 4th degree. So we've raised that B flat to a B natural, giving us our Lydian mode. And if we were to consider the C major scale, we move down these final 3 degrees here, we would have a C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Granted, these are all going to be white keys on the keyboard, and thus they are white chips, so you can't really see the difference. But here we have the scale degrees of the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And if we were to number those scale degrees, and I recommend you do number all your Ionian scale degrees, we have C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4. Now this is our Lydian mode note, or F, that we're going to be dealing with, F Lydian. G would be 5, A is 6, and B would be 7. So that when we move back to our Lydian position, we take the first 3 scale degrees, 1, 2, and 3, and move them to the end, and we wind up with 4, 5, 6, 7, and root 2 and 3 from a relative major of C major, if C is our relative major. So here we have our F Lydian, whole, 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 half, whole, whole, half. Thus we can form triads from our Lydian mode using the scale degrees from the F Lydian mode. If we're starting here on F, we're going to have the 4, 6 root of C, those scale degrees again, 4, 6, and root, F, A, and C. That's major. Our second triad would be 5, 7, and 2, which is also major, or G, B, D, 5, 7, 2 degrees of C major. Our third triad is 6, root, and 3. Now you can see here why these scale degrees are so important to remember, because if we can remember which scale degrees or what chord quality, we'll understand why this is a minor triad, because it's on the sixth scale degree of the major scale. And any chord built on the 6th scale degree is minor. 6 root 3 is a minor triad. 6 of C is A, C, and E. Okay. The fourth triad here was our sharp 4 note from B flat to B natural on the 4th scale degree of our Lydian scale. However, this is the 7th note of our relative major. 7, 2, and 4 is going to be B, D, and F, which is diminished. Here on the 5th degree, we have the relative majors, C, E, and G, which is root 3, 5 of itself of C major, C, E, G, in this position. Our 6th degree is going to be D, F, and A. Here on this 6th position is the scale degrees 2, 4 over here on the first one, and 6. 2, 4, 6 of C is minor, D, F, and A. And again, finally, the 7th degree is going to be 3, 5, and 7 for your 7th triad on the 7th position note right here. 3, 5, and 7 of C is E, G, E, G, and B. E, G, B is minor. Again, all white keys on the piano keyboard. This is what we're dealing with. We need to know those scale degrees so that we know what chord is in what position. So here we have the one chord. We're going to build 7th chords using these scale degrees here, alternating scale tones from our Lydian mode. In this case, F Lydian is going to be the root 4, 6, root 3rd degrees of C. So that's where those are, 4, 6, root 3. So we're going to have F, A, C, and E. This is the 4-6 root 3 chord, or an F major 7, starting on F, A, C, and E. Between A and C, we're going to have a 2+1 interval here. Because here is A and C in our scale, and A to B is 2 half steps, and B to C is only 1 half step. So of course there would be a blue chip between these on your piano keyboard, but here we just have the notes of the scale laid out, so we don't have the blue chips. Okay, F major 7. Our 2 chord is dominant, 5, 7, 2, 4. I want you to remember those numbers. 5, 7, 2, 4 is always dominant in every major key. So in C, it's going to be G, B, D, and F. Memorize the numbers 5, 7, 2, 4 as a dominant 7th chord. G, B, D, and F. 5, 7, 2, 4. Here's a 4-3-3 spacing of half notes, a minor third interval over a major triad. In this case, it's G, B, D with F. D to F is a minor third, or 3 half steps. And again, the B to D here will be a 1+2 interval, and here D to F will be a 2+1. And that format will be for all of your 5, 7, 2, 4 chords. You're going to have a 4-3-3 space dominant 7 with a 1+2 and a 2+1 for every key and in every position that the dominant 7 lands on. In Lydian, the dominant is on the 2nd chord. Right? In other modes, it's on a different one. In Aeolian, it's on the 7. In Ionian, it's on the 5th. In Lydian, it's on the 2nd, right? In Dorian, it's on the 4th, and Phrygian, it's on the 3rd, and so forth. So your dominant 7, 5, 7, 2, 4 chord lands here on the 2nd row of Lydian. Our 3rd chord is the 6 root 3, 5 scale degrees of C major. Here, starting on the 6th note, A, C, E, and G. Again, 6 root 3, 5. A, C, E, G, and it's a minor 7 chord, which means it's a different quality than this chord and this chord, in that the spacing is now 3, 4, and 3 of our minor 7 chord. And our minor thirds, we're going to have a 2+1 interval here, and a 1+2 interval here. This is a minor third starting on the 6th scale degree of our relative major. In this case, it's A, C, E, and G. Our sharp 4 chord was the diminished triad, which is 7, 2, 4. I want you to remember those numbers, scale degrees. 7, 2, 4, because 7, 2, 4 is always diminished. When we add the 7th, the 6 above that, we're adding a major third above the 4th scale tone, in this case of C major, which is F. And we're adding the 6th scale tone, an A, over the F, which is a major third over the B minor, or B diminished triad. So we have B, D, F. This is a 3-3 spacing with a 1+2 here and a 2+1 here. And then your A is here, which is a major third, or 2 whole steps, right? 4 half steps total. So a 3, 3, 4 half diminished 7 for your sharp 4 on your 4th lane of Lydian. It's going to be a 7, 2, 4, 6 scale degrees. Remember those numbers. 7, 2, 4, 6. Again, it's on the 4th chord in Lydian. Again, this 7, 2, 4, 6 is going to be your 7th chord of your relative major. It will be on the 7th lane, but in Lydian, it's on the 4th. So we've just simply taken the same scale degrees and shifted positions here so that chord progressions will, in theory, go back to our F major 7, which is our tonal center of F Lydian now. Our 5 chord now is going to be the relative major. Root 3, 5, 7 of C is C, E, G, B. This is your 4, 3, 4, major 7, starting on the root of your relative major. It's going to have a 1 plus 2 for the minor third between these two notes, E and G. E to F is 1/2 step, and F to G is 2. That's a 1 plus 2 equals 3 for your 4, 3, 4 spaced major 7. Your 6th chord here is minor on the 2 position, the 2, 4, 6 root, D, F, A, C. D, F, A, C is a 3, 4, 3 spacing. It's going to have 2 plus 1 intervals for its minor thirds. And for the 7th position chord, it's 3, 5, 7, 2, or E, G, B, and D. Also, it's a minor 7th chord, a 3, 4, 3 spacing, just like this one, except the minor thirds on this one are going to be 1 plus 2 spaced intervals. Okay, so these are going to be the way your chords look on the piano keyboard. They're going to be all white keys, starting on the F, major 7. Again, it's a major 7, a dominant 7, a minor 7, half diminished, major, minor, and minor. Let's look at the inversions of these chords. We have, assuming the scale degrees don't change, we're going to use the note names and discuss the intervals that these chords qualities have. So we have a major 7 starting on F. It's 4, 3, 4. So when we invert our F, A, C, E, we have a 3, 4, 1 spaced starting on A, C, E, and F. For major 7 chords, we have a 4, 1, 4 in second inversion starting on C, C, E, F, A, and a 1, 4, 3 starting on E, E, F, A, C. Coming down is C, A, F, E. Again, this is still an F major 7 in third inversion. C, A, F, E to A, F, E, C, F, E, C, A, and E, C, A, F. All right, our 2 chord was a dominant 7, G, B, D, and F. And G, B, D, F is a 4, 3, 3 spacing. Dominant 7, we're going to invert it, giving us a 3, 3, 2 starting on D, F, A, and B, to our 3, 2, 4 spacing starting on F, starting on D, D, F, G, B, to our 2, 4, 3 starting on F, G, B, and D. Coming down is D, B, G, F, B, G, F, D, G, F, D, B, and F, D, B, G for your G dominant 7 here on the 2nd chord of F Lydian. Our 3 chord was a 6 root 3, 5. Here it's an A minor 7, A, C, E, G. It's a 3, 4, 3 spacing. When we invert it, we have a 4-3-2 starting on C, C, E, G, A, to our 3-2-3 starting on E, E, G, A, C, to our 2-3-4 starting on G, A, C, and E. Coming down is E, C, A, G, C, A, G, E, A, G, E, C, and G, E, C, A. Our fourth chord, our sharp 4, was a 7-2-4-6, B, D, F, and A, which was a 3-3-4 spacing. When we invert this, we have a 3-4-2 for half diminished, D, F, A, B, to a 4-2-3 starting on F, A, B, D, to our 2-3-3 spacing starting on A, B, D, F. Coming down is F, D, B, A, D, B, A, F, B, A, F, D, and A, F, D, B. Your sharp 4 half diminished, B half diminished. The 5 chord here is C, E, G, B, 4-3-4. When we invert it, we have 3-4-1 starting on E, E, G, B, C, to our 4-1-4 starting on G, B, C, E, to our 1-4-3 starting on B, C, E, G. Coming down is G, E, C, B, E, C, B, G, C, B, G, E, and B, G, E, C. Our 6th chord, a 2-4-6 root, minor 7, starting on D, is D, F, A, C. When we invert this, we have a 4-3-2, starting on F, A, C, D, to our 3-2-3, starting on A, C, D, F, to 4-3-2, starting on C, starting on C, C, D, F, A. Moving down is A, F, D, C, F, D, C, A, D, C, A, F, and C, A, F, D. Finally, our 7th position is E minor 7, E, G, B, D. When we invert it, we have a 4-3-2 starting on G, G, B, D, E. Go 3-2-3 starting on G, G, D, E, B. Wrong. Let's see, starting on B. B, D, E, G. Excuse me. To our 2-3-4 starting on D. D, E, G, B. Coming down is B, G, E, D, G, E, D, B, E, D, B, G, and D, B, G, E. And that's going to be your chords of the F Lydian mode. We have the F major 7, the G dominant 7, A minor 7, B half diminished, C major 7, a D minor, and an E minor 7. Those are your chords of F Lydian mode.